Here we are just starting out in Patron, and as usual, our new settlers have decided to build a large townhouse rather than anything that would give them shelter or sustain them. And now they're going to proceed about complaining to me about missing those things until we get them established. So we are going to get started here right away, being able to build some shelter. I like being able to mark this area centrally off with some roads for ease of travel. And now let's take a look at our map. We are playing on Pine Ridge here. So we have a very large area to be able to expand from. We are connected to the coast here. This area is going to be cut off until we build some bridges, which are pretty expensive. And this area along the riverbank is the best for growing crops. But then if you look at where we are going to have quarries to be able to get ore, iron, and other such things, we're going to have to go out to the edges of the map to be able to get into the mountains. So things look like they are going to be pretty good for us in this central area. Be able to set this up as a area for growing things, and then also have a road kind of poking out this way for our other industries and keep kind of residential areas centralized for us. Going to start the clock here, and now we want our workers to begin gathering resources. We want to chop down some of these trees and then be able to set up some housing for them. The grid here is very small and the mouse is very touchy, so trying to be extra careful here. And then get this housing. Nope, I put it in the wrong spot. Okay, houses are up. We want to get a road for these guys. And there we go. This is going to give us a nice little start. Now we want to run a road off into the forest to be able to begin procuring wood and food. Roads are free, though if they run through a tree, your villagers are going to have to cut them down. So this is a pretty classic medieval city builder, very much on the lines of other games in its genre like Banished, like Anno, even a little bit of Tropico flair thrown in from when I played the demo. It gave me some, reminded me in terms of some of the pop-ups and what happens then of Tropico. So here we're going to have a forester's hut. This will bring in some much needed wood for our town. We want it to be far enough removed from the town that I can kind of expand some other industry buildings around the central hub here without cutting into the area where the foresters are going to be working. And then next to them, we want to get the gatherer's shelter. This is kind of the cheapest and first way that we have to be able to gain food, and they do best placed out here in the forest as well. We're going to have a little bit of a hub of buildings here. Man, this is so touchy. Can I change the mouse sensitivity controls? There has to be mouse sensitivity, right? Okay, mouse sensitivity turned down, and I am not feeling like I want to kill myself while I'm playing this, so here we go. We are going to be able to get a depot. Do we want the depot yet? Yeah, depot and a hunting lodge to get established out here. This way, as soon as resources are produced, the carriers just have to take the resources to the depot to be able to get them into our stockpile, rather than having to walk all the way back into town, because right now our only storage is out of the town hall here. And once we finish these last couple of houses, we should be all set to work, my workers. Build up. First buildings of our glorious city will commence. We're going to increase the game speed. You have sliders here being able to go up to 10x, 5x, 2x, 1x, and then also just pausing. We're going to speed things up around 5, keep things cruising a little bit here. So we are just starting out. We have this introductory stockpile giving us tools, stone, iron, food, wood, a little bit of firewood, a little bit of coal, etc., etc. And then these are luxuries. These are kind of clumps of different resources, any of the luxuries that are for peasants, and those are kind of what all of our citizens right now are. They're all peasants, but as they get different opportunities and different job types, they can move up to laborers, merchants, and gentry. And then here we have our new buildings. These ones require workers, and so you have to assign workers after you build them. They are not assigned by default. We're going to get people working here, gathering wood and food, And then especially for wood, it's very important to be able to get this going as much as possible. We have different upgrade options for the buildings here. So out of the Gatherer's Shelter, all the upgrades are unique for every single building. We can upgrade to bigger baskets, just our guys walking around with bigger baskets to be able to gather the goods of this bountiful pine forest, being able to increase its production efficiency. So as we see, its efficiency is up to 196%. Pretty great. And we have 3 people working that. And then over here at the forester's hut, let's see, do I want to throw upgrades onto them right now, or do I want to build a hunting lodge? Well, the hunting lodge is going to require wood that we don't have, so being able to increase our forester's hut efficiency seems good. So they are able to cut down trees, but they also plant new ones to replace them. So it'll be able to keep on working this area as long as the area is clear, and the more fertile the soil is for growing trees, the better. You can expand to have more people as well, but right now we just want to be able to bring in more wood. We gain gold through taxes. So we tax our population. As our population grows, we'll be able to make even more coin. And that is useful for, you always have to spend coin for any kind of upgrades. The townhouse itself does not upgrade directly. It has upgrade through the research tree here, which is quite extensive. Gives you kind of reminder of civilization with how things flow into each other, how long it is. There is so much stuff in this game to be able to unlock, which is pretty great. It's going to be fun working through it, but we are just all the way over here at the very beginning. The Fisherman's Hut, I have played the demo, and I know that the Fisherman's Hut is a very efficient way to be able to make some food early on, and we have coast over here, so we could run a road out that way to be able to establish some fishing. But I would like to set up a hunting lodge here. That doesn't require any unlocking to be able to use, and is also a pretty efficient way of being able to bring in some more food for us. We can manage our different, our full economy here through the jobs board. So we see how many workers, and so these are catch-all workers. They will move goods around. They will clear resources on kind of our explicit command, and then they will also do construction projects for us. If you designate people as carriers, then they will work for full-time only hauling resources from buildings that produce to buildings that need them to come in, and then you can set your levels of all of the other job classes that you have. So because we built the hunting lodge, we can tap up the number of hunters that we have here, or you can do it through the building. And so we have them beginning to start work. And then over here in the resource tab, you can actually see how many resources you produced in the last month and how many you used in the last month. So you can kind of get an idea on how well balanced your economy is. You always want to be producing more than you are consuming, obviously, except for the ones that are used in construction. Then things are kind of thrown out of balance because you made these one-time purchases with the, like, you used a bunch of wood to be able to build the buildings, but there are going to be other buildings, such as here, the hunting lodge uses 60 wood and 60 iron a year for the hunters to be able to have their traps to bring in food, venison, and leather. And so the supply chains turn into these big, intricate webs with a lot of different buildings drawing on the base resources. So being able to get a lot of food coming in from the forester's hut is, or a lot of wood coming in from the forester's hut is really important, because there's going to be so many buildings that want to use some of that wood, and we also need it to be able to build new structures as well. And one of those new structures that we really want to be able to set up is the sawmill. The sawmill is going to let us turn wood into firewood, which is necessary for being able to heat our homes in the winter. We do not want to freeze to death this year, my friends. We do not want to freeze. So we're going to set up the sawmill, very large building here, and we're going to run some roads out. I actually think that we are going to kind of double up this main road right here. This will be Main Street. Give us a little few connectors here. And on the ends, the game has some cool options of being able to add beautification to your city, which is going to impact your citizens' happiness score. As you can see, happiness takes in a lot of different factors when it is calculated. Everything from the health of your citizens to their safety to what they think on your immigration policies. All of that can come into play. And beautification is one of the factors here, I believe. Let's see, is it in there? Beautification will help improve their happiness score that you see at the top. But you can get fun things like place down these road signs. That is going to improve the villagers' walking speeds if they are within the radius. It's a very subtle look. Let's see if I switch one mode. There we go. You can see it a little bit better. But if the villagers are within the radius of the road sign, they're able to move just a tiny bit faster. Kind of fun. And it also makes your village look a little bit more realistic to have that going. And we get the notification, no firewood in stock, but we are busily working on the sawmill to be able to start getting that for us. What is this? What are you? Are you a pig? Are you a bear? It's a bear. That's what it is. And the villagers, just no fear. No fear right around the bear. All right, we are truly in a wild, wild land. If we hover over here, over our residents, we get to see the breakdown of population dynamics. So we have adults, young, and children. They are divided into family units, and so every family unit requires its own house. They're not going to share houses. And we can also see our current residential statistics, so the total number of houses, how many are occupied, how many are empty, and then how many of our characters fall into different classes. So right now all 10 of the adults are considered peasants, and peasants have their own set of luxury resources, and kind of each class has its own happiness. The game is billing itself as a survival city builder, so it has some of the kind of, you're going to be challenged just to make it through the winter and whatnot, similar to Banished, but then it is also boasting that it has a very robust system around calculating everyone's happiness and being able to manage that, especially as you get the different classes of citizens. So we're going to see how well we were able to navigate things, how well we can manage this town, or if we mismanage it right into the ground, as is likely going to happen. Right now we are making so much food, the Gatherer's Shelter really doing work for us. We would love to see some upgrades, probably onto the Forester's Hut here, being able to get these with the coins that we have. And now we have the sawmill beginning here. It has very expensive upgrades, but being able to reduce the upkeep so it costs less wood to be able to make the same amount of firewood, or being able to increase its production value. Each is going to come out to kind of a similar result in that we get more firewood per input, and also more efficiency per number of people working on it. And that is really the bottleneck here, is your population in terms of how well you are able to expand. We do have the wood here, so I want to get down at least one more spare house. Often when new people come in, your population can only expand if there is open space. And so we do have there's one empty house over here somewhere. I remember it, it's over here. But keeping two will mean that we don't have to worry about housing for a little while. And then right now we're just going to kind of let things cook, put upgrades down, and if we take a peek at what we're going to want to get out of research, here in the first year, our goal is really just to be able to survive the winter, be able to have enough food stored up and be able to have enough firewood is pretty crucial. You can really dig in and micromanage things. The Gatherer's Hut, its production varies depending on the time of year, and so right now we're in the fall here in September, and so production should be great at the Gatherer's Shelter, but in winter we're not going to be bringing a lot in, so we can actually cut down on the number of people working as gatherers and then bump up, say, the number of people working at the sawmill to make sure that we have enough firewood to be able to heat our homes. We can also upgrade the homes here with insulation so that they require 25% less of the firewood or coal to be able to heat them. So we might do that as we dip here. October, winter is coming. We're going to have to see how well prepared we really manage to be here. So right now, and this is the amount of kindling that is used is going to depend on the temperature. We're still at plus 13 C. Can I change that to Fahrenheit? I am a filthy American. Nope, the Europeans who crafted this game has gonna force me to play with Celsius. We're gonna see how many times I mess up considering what the temperature really is for my village here. But right now at 10 degrees C, which is pretty fine in terms of temperature, we're not burning too much of our firewood. We're using 20 last month and we were able to produce 56. So we're running on a surplus, which is going to be great, but we're going to really be dipping into that firewood supply when winter comes around. And the game is brutal, absolutely brutal in terms of if you are missing one of the base commodities. So if you run out of food, if you run out of firewood in the winter, people die off very fast. If they don't have enough shelter, they die off very fast, etc., etc. I haven't, in the demo, hit any of the plagues or natural disasters to be able to try and recover from those, but I know they are in the game as well, and so being able to have stockpiles and being able to have that resiliency of managing if your population drops, how are you going to rebalance all of the jobs? Right now we're on a pretty critical path in terms of how much money we have to be able to fund new industries and how many people we have to work them, just to be able to get enough supplies for winter. But I think we are going to do okay on this first year, and we're going to kick the speed up to get through these final few months of the year. The foundation. This is our first event. The king is pleased that the new colony is slowly getting on its feet. You've placed the foundation of a flourishing city, and for that, you are rewarded. We receive 150 coin, 150 firewood, and 150 lumber. This will see us through this first winter very nicely. So those rewards that you receive are randomized. They're going to be different depending on any time that you play. We're going to try and gather these, but that actually gives us pretty much a no-brainer shot straight through this first winter with plenty of food, plenty of firewood now, even if we're going to start running a serious deficit on how much firewood. We're still producing more, and we're into November with the snows. Let's see. We'll see how we come out of December on the firewood stock. I'm sure we're going to start dipping in, but we should still be okay overall. The buildings here, the animation looks really nice, and what I find fun is that they put little signs on the buildings that say like exactly what they are. The only downside is that when they get built so close together, it's hard to pick them out, and from far away, all the architecture style is very similar and all the colors of the buildings is very monotonous. So in a cluster like this looks like two buildings, it's only one, and then like picking out exactly what you want to click on this, but this is just the stockyards, and now this is actually the hunting lodge, etc., etc. So I wish there was like a little bit, like maybe if you moused over something, like if you hovered over something, it would tell you what you were hovering over, so you didn't have to click and then find out. But small complaints for what is a game that I've been really enjoying. I've played the demo through to be able to have kind of a handle on doing this first playthrough and not just be a blundering idiot, and hopefully that sees us through to be able to manage our town up to success. One of the very first industries, well, kind of here on the research tree, what we need to be looking at first for setting up is getting the toolsmith, because tools are essential for being able to produce luxuries and also do upgrades, and right now we have no supply of them at all. So being able to get the quarry, the mines, and then the toolsmiths set up is going to be pretty important. But then down here, we get some nice bonuses to food production. And now this upgrade path basically goes nowhere, but it's still very helpful for the early game economies. Cleared path here, increase herbalist hut efficiency if near a gatherer's shelter is nice, because herbs are great for being able to sell things, and then you can get tracking prey after that, increasing the hunting lodge efficiency if near a herbalist's hut. So having this whole kind of cluster of buildings out in the forest and then them all feeding off of each other for better efficiency is very good. I think I am going to go for those. And that means that we really should build a herbalist's hut to get things going. There we are. There we go. We have survived our first year as a town. I generically named the place Teddy Town. Let me know in the comments what we should call this town. I want something a little bit more interesting, a little more creative. Now, we can go to the annual to see all of the important events that we lived through. We survived our first winter. Congrats to us. The town was founded. We had our housing shortage, which we then were able to overcome, building our first residential district. We ran out of firewood, but then we established the sawmill to be able to combat that, and we had our first baby in the first year, and then we had a second baby in the beginning of year 2. The game starts in March, which is why I played through into March, and then we had 2 people immigrate, and we finished up some research. So that is where the town is now. There is so much on the horizon for how we are going to expand. Right now, really on a critical path of just grabbing the necessities, but then I am really looking forward to seeing how much you can specialize later in the game with all of this research, and seeing the kind of challenges that the game throws at you, labeling itself as a survival city builder. When the catastrophes come, what is it going to be like having to recover from those? So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy the Let's Play, and hope to see you guys in the next episode.